Hello, friends, colleagues, clients, and trespassers. Welcome to Coach2Coach, the show where the world of coaching opens up to you, our listeners. I'm Laurie Schloff, Executive Communication Coach over many decades. Coach2Coach aims to inform, teach, entertain, provoke, amuse, and invite you to engage, all in a 15-minute time period. Super coaches can do it all. Each show will feature a coach supreme, someone who is changing the world, one coachee at a time. And here we go, Coach2Coach to you. Today, we welcome the warm and wonderful Laurie Butson. Laurie is a master coach in the field of positive psychology, which focuses on the science of well-being. I think we're all for that. There's no opposition to that. And she has helped literally thousands of employees to add to their well-being and joy and happiness and coping skills in the workplace. Today, we'll talk about positive psychology and explore the essentials of this really pretty fascinating field of coaching. And some people even think it's controversial, probably because the words positive psychology sound a little too skeptical for some cynics. So Laurie is an entrepreneur. She is the leader of Cleared to Flourish, her wonderful company. And she's also known for asking people for what their word of the week is on her posts on LinkedIn. So she asks followers to share a word to keep in mind for the week. My word of the week, which means a lot to me because I love friendliness, is welcome. So welcome, Laurie. So I'd love to hear your word of the week, and also about you in coaching, how you got a passion for it and what led you to positive psychology.
Thank you so much for having me. Love the concept that you're doing here with Coach2Coach. And all right, so my word for the week is progress. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll notice that progress is my word. And I think it's so apt, right? When we're talking about coaching, we're always trying to make some sort of progress. Sometimes that's big, sometimes that's small. And being an entrepreneur, progress can sometimes feel very slow. But my week is all about progress. And then you wanted me to share how I got into coaching, and specifically positive psychology coaching. So as brief as I can make this, Laurie, I got into coaching sort of skeptically. I will say I did not always want to be a coach. I come from the field of training and facilitation and leading groups. And I thought many people said, oh, you should be a coach. You should go and get your certification and your credentials. And I wasn't sure I wanted to do that. But after learning about and becoming a practitioner of positive psychology, a consultant of positive psychology, it was a natural progression to get my certification in it. And what it looks like in practice is I am a transformational coach who helps people make progress in their lives, right? And that can look and feel a lot of different ways. But with my positive psychology background, I bring evidence-based, research-based tools, skills, knowledge to help people learn to thrive and flourish in different aspects of life.
That's really super. And I totally get it, because I feel like in my world, the whole idea of flourishing, sort of stepping outside where you were to a new place, really comes up a lot. So talk a little bit more about what positive psychology, kind of like what the principle of it is. And I also have the question, are people born negative or positive?
Okay, let's start with the second question. Are they born negative or positive? And I think you said something earlier where there can be some skepticism, I think, around the terminology positive psychology. I think sometimes when we hear the word positive, we can jump to a place of toxic positivity, right? Like, oh, let's just be happy and everything will be okay. That is not what we're talking about here. So let's start with your first question. We are actually not born positive. We all inherently have what is called a negativity bias. And it's something that's fascinating. If you want to do a little bit of research, just Google negativity bias. It comes from our very primitive early days where our brains are literally wired more naturally to see the negative, to focus on the negative. What I love about positive psychology is it's a wonderful complement to the field of traditional psychology, that rather than focusing on what is wrong and how to fix it, positive psychology is all about what is right and how can we capitalize on that. And that, I think, is the essence of what positive psychology is all about.
That's so cool. And I know, and you've been very open about things that you've been coping with in your health, in your life. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could share, briefly share a client experience where you help someone through positive psychology who may also be coping with health issues.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, one of my passion areas. So I work with a lot of different audiences. I work within organizations doing coaching. I work with individuals that are looking to grow and thrive in life. And then a audience that I'm particularly passionate about is those living with chronic illnesses, living with chronic conditions. I myself was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease a couple of years ago. And I have an extreme passion of bringing the world of positive psychology to my coaching of others with chronic illness. And I can share one memorable client in particular. And actually, this sort of personifies so many people when they start to work with me, if they're struggling with a chronic condition, especially if they're in the heart of coping, if they're in the heart of trying to get healthier. Flourishing feels so out of reach. And this particular client, I'll call him John, he was recently diagnosed. He felt very distraught, very hopeless, very helpless. And I think the most important piece, and Laurie, I can imagine, this transcends to your world as well. In communication, you got to start and meet people where they're at. And that was critical. We met John where he was at, and then we started to build the foundation of looking at not just what was wrong, but what was right and what was good. What could we capitalize on? What could we build despite his very challenging health situations? And meeting him where he was at, and then helping him build tools and skill set, and giving him that support really got him to a much more thriving place, because he realized that he had more control than he ever thought he did.
I love this because what you're doing is you're taking a person from where they're at, really understanding where they're at, and they're not doing a 180.
No.
Small steps. It reminds me, sometimes I'll work with someone who's very, very shy.
Mm-hmm.
And, the small steps of flourishing and success might be as simple as asking a question in a meeting.
Absolutely.
They hadn't spoken up before. So, I know our listeners would love to benefit from your techniques, and I'm going to sneak this on you. The 3 good things.
3 good things. Yeah, it's one of my favorite tools to use.
Oh.
And in fact, you've seen me post about it on LinkedIn. I did a challenge back in January on it. And if we go back to John, my client, one of the things that we started with working with him is this exercise called 3 Good Things. Again, you can Google it. It has a lot of research. Oh, you want me to do it with you?
Yeah. Okay. And then I want our listeners also, as you tell me what you want me to think about, I'd like everybody to do it while you're listening too. In other words, our viewers at home or in the office. Yeah, no, I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 Good Things, Laurie, is all about ending or beginning your day with listing out what are 3 good things that have happened in your day. And sometimes it's going to be really easy to knock those off. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit harder. I always say, if it's harder, that's when you need to do it even more. So what are 3 good things as you look back over the last 24 hours? What are 3 good things that have happened?
I think this will be really good for me to do. The reason is this was a particularly stressful day and it's pouring outside.
Okay. All right. So, So first, let's tie that back to negativity bias, right? You immediately went to, all right, it was a bad day, a stressful day, and it's raining out. All right, let's try to shift that, right? Our brain naturally goes there. So what we're doing is we're shifting it. So put aside the rain, put aside the stress. What good happened?
Well, number one, I'm very blessed because my daughter's been visiting.
Wonderful.
And she's a joy to have around. We've had a good conversation. Number two, I remember to say happy birthday to my niece and very close friend who shared this birthday today. And number three is, this is going to sound so superficial, but I'm a lip gloss maniac. I put on my new lip gloss.
There you go. And okay, let me ask you, and let's look at you right now for a second, right? You are much more energetic. Before you were like, all right, this is going to be good because it is a stressful day and it's raining out. Look at you. You're brighter. You're smiling. Your tone changed. Tell me, how do you feel? Like, do you feel different?
Really, I feel so much better having done this exercise. And it was the simplest thing. But, I'll be honest, I felt like I needed a coach. Meaning, myself, it is good to do myself, but I loved having a coach. And guess what? The show is called Coach2Coach. So I believe in coaching.
I do too. I mean, even coaches need coaches, Laurie. Absolutely.
Tell me about
it. If we can for a second just go back to that exercise, there is a lot of evidence and research that's been done with that exercise over many decades. And what it shows is just by doing that simple exercise for a 2-week period, the lasting effects can be up to 6 months, even just doing it for 2 weeks. Lower depression, lower anxiety, increased happiness.
Wow.
Huge benefit just by that simple shift of what was good, what went right.
So, we're at the point in the show where we're going to actually get into our takeaways. And I'm going to abandon any other takeaway, but saying the 3 good things exercises is a great, easy thing to do. And I think maybe I'll tell a couple of people to ask me that, so I can have some coaches when I'm not talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great because like you said, sometimes you need that accountability or you need to say it out loud to somebody else.
Yeah. So boy, that was a great demo.
Good. Thank you.
And I hope I didn't put you on the spot too much, but I had picked that out of all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, no, I love to talk about that for sure.
Yeah. So I have a mini little exercise.
Okay.
I know you're a great communicator. So I'd like you to sort of visualize, and again, everybody can do this at home. Visualize yourself in front of a group, and they're an average group, and they're not going crazy over you, and they're not hostile. But here's what I want people to do. I want you to visualize positively handling something going wrong. So, Laurie, what do you have any concerns about anything going wrong when you speak?
Technology.
Exactly. So I close your eyes and visualize something breaking down, the clicker not working, the wrong frickin' slide showing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe the slide's not showing at all.
Oh, there you go. And in your mind's eye, I want you to see yourself handling it. But most of all, I want you to feel okay. I want you to feel that your strength in being able to cope with this moment is helping you to feel whole, secure, and able to fix this challenge, which we know isn't life or death, in some way.
Yeah.
Did you see yourself?
Yeah. And I think, some things that came to mind were just like trust in myself, trust that I know what I'm talking about. I don't need the slides. So having that confidence and trust in yourself, that's what came to mind for me as I saw the screen go blank behind me.
Right. So, when I work with people who have nervousness about speaking, I sometimes joke. I say, "Let's create a catastrophe and see ourselves coping with it." And certain catastrophes that some of your clients face with their health are very serious. What a beautiful thing that you're helping them. And I'm sure and this is where we get into coach to coach. I'm sure it's a wonderful thing for you too to feel that you've had a great session with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tie it back to where we started, right? Positive versus negative, negativity bias versus positivity. I love what that let's create a catastrophe, right? Whether it exists or not, recognizing yourself, being able to move forward with that from that and building the skills, building the confidence is huge in being able to move forward whether it's whatever the situation is, whether it is in a speaking engagement, whether it's with your health, whether it's a career move you're looking to make, right? It's having the confidence that you can do it.
So as we wrap up this really great, lively and chock full of different ideas, chat, what you have so many quotes you love. What's one quote that you want to share with us that you like a lot?
Oh, gosh, if I had to narrow it down to one, if anybody goes to my website, which is www.cleartoflourish.com, you'll see quotes on every landing page. I think I'm going to pick the one that's on my homepage, and it's tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And that just speaks so deeply to me from the perspective of we all have one short life to live. I am a believer we want to live it as well and as flourishing and as thriving as possible. And it is possible.
Very beautiful. And I think being coaches puts us in a prime spot to be able to help others flourish. And so I do feel very blessed about that. So one of my 3 things every day. That's my takeaway is 3 good things every day. Thank you so much. So having these kinds of activities in our life, the kinds of things that Laurie talked about, expanding our zone of trying things out and coping, even just a little bit, adds to our well-being, our results, and our happiness, don't you think? So thanks for being here now, and we'll see you next time on Coach to Coach. Keep on coaching.